Welcome back to Rock Paper Shotgun. You're watching our not quite weekly show on account of me being ill last week, but I'm back with another video game recommendation of a game I love and think you should be playing. My name is Noah, and my recommendation this week? Freebird Games' Finding Paradise, a sequel to the Moon and a Bird Story. You play as the same protagonists as in those games, Neil Watts and Ava Rosaline, who were employees for Sigmund Corp. Now, according to the developers, Finding Paradise is intended to work as a standalone game, which I can attest to as this is the first of their games I've played. Needless to say, I immediately rushed to play To the Moon straight afterwards. The back of the cereal box version of the story goes like this. Two doctors attempt to fulfill an old man's last wish through a newfangled machine that allows the two to jump into his faded memories as he lay dying. All this unfolds in what I'd call a minimalist adventure RPG. It has elements of adventure games, visual novels, and RPGs, but lacks the overabundance of mechanical nuts and bolts associated with said genres. So why recommend this game, even as a standalone experience? What struck me immediately was its writing. Penned by the game's creator Can Gao, it's a wonderful blend of comedy and tragedy, with two central characters who are so well written they practically propel themselves out of the confines of a few pixels and into full-blown life. The game plays out in 3 acts across the lifetime of Colin. The lifetime of Colin sounds like a charming but oddball dramedy, doesn't it? A dying pilot who reached out to Sigmund Corp against his wife's wishes, his life appears wholly fulfilled from the outset, with no real indication of what could be changed. It's up to Watts and Rosaline to sniff out Colin's unhappiness based on what they see and experience. That the game is dealing with complex concepts such as death, legacy, the ethics of medical meddling, or how we remember our lives. Finding Paradise could easily lapse into a daytime soap opera of melodrama. Did I leave the stove on? But Watts and Rosaline ground the story with the kind of banter and in-jokes you'd expect from a duo who've worked together for a while. If the whole memory diving thing goes south, they could always try their hand at YouTube Let's Play videos. I'd watch it. In a way that hopefully doesn't sound too hard-hearted, no matter how all-encompassing it might feel to live another person's memories. The world still turns regardless, a fact that's as sad as it is comforting, and it's the Doctor duo who bring this reality to light. The whole point of Sigmund is to fulfill a person's wish so that they pass on without regret. Saying that, the game looks at death with good humour. It's not unlike Edith Finch, in the way that it candidly broaches some truly meaningful subject matter but still plays around with it and finds interesting ways to present its ideas. In turn, the playfulness has a much greater effect on the tragic elements. When they do land, they do so with force. I also appreciate how meta the humour is, considering that the two doctors are working in a simulation, or rather a game brain. Gao has the freedom to really play with the game world through its humour. In one segment, Watts reels in a planet with his grappling tool. Which planet, Mars, Pluto, Jupiter, is randomised, and he uses its gravitational pull to jump to a roof too high to reach, to which he puns about procedurally generated worlds. It's silly and brilliant. To mention any more jokes of this kind would be robbing you. Frankly, it's these moments of carefully crafted levity that see you through Finding Paradise to a soft landing. That the comedic moments land at all is a testament to the writing. Consider that comedy relies, in part, on timing, not just delivery and content. And in a game such as this, where you click to continue, you control that pacing. But the humour does land. It's laugh out loud funny, which is good going for a game set in a dying brain. Of course, great writing can easily be smothered by clumsy delivery, so it's understandable the game is quite minimalist in how it actually works. But even though the mechanics are simple and to the point, they still serve to drive the ideas home. At each stop in the timeline, you're free to wander about, taking in the sights and sounds, but your goal is to identify an important object or memento within that scene and unlock it, which allows you to move on to the next memory. Locating that object requires you to observe what is going on or being said, so rather than stumble about cluelessly, you have a pretty good idea where to start looking if you pay attention in class. Once you've found that memento, it takes you to a set of metaphorical roadblocks in the form of a puzzle. Here, like Tetris or Connect 4, your aim is to sync the memory by stacking images of the memento in question. I kinda like the idea that this is going on inside your head every time you're trying to recall the location of that USB stick you lost or the date of your great aunt's birthday. which might explain why it takes me so long to figure these kinds of things out. Because it's a simple premise, but an effective one, as puzzles become more complicated in later stages, where some points on the grid block moves altogether, or turn switches that change the direction a memento moves. I was scratching my head at a few of them, which added some level of tension to the already not so straightforward nature of Watson Rosaline's mission. I suppose what I like about the idea is that it's a pretty good representation of what the main protagonists are required to do in the story. Like, say, Nier Automata, since most of Finding Paradise is operating under the guise of a simulated world, puzzles and other elements of play quite literally represent the fictional technology used to memory hop, so narrative transitions into mechanics quite seamlessly. For those who, unlike myself at the time of playing this the first time through, are familiar with To the Moon, you'll see that not much has changed except for the puzzles I mentioned. But as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't hire two scientists to dive into your brain to try and fix it. To the Moon established a formula, and Finding Paradise sticks to it, changing up a few stray elements, whether it be the structure of the story or how the work is done, and it freshens the experience. I like that. But as I said, it's solid enough that you can enjoy it without any prior knowledge. Such is the power of good writing and imaginative characters. No Codex entries needed, no mandatory exposition, just a good story, and simple yet engaging play to carry you through. It may get a little long-winded at points, but I know I enjoyed my time with the characters so much, extra pun time was welcome. For its 4-hour runtime, you enter into something not navel-gazingly thoughtful, but good fun, even if fun left me teary-eyed by the end. Such is the nature of comedy and tragedy, I guess, two direct opposites that are inextricably linked. In Finding Paradise, whether I was crying with laughter or sadness, I was still crying. Colour me invested, and colour Finding Paradise recommended. I hope you enjoyed this quick trip through my mind and why it had so much fun with Finding Paradise. If you've played the game yourself, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and please do offer other recommendations. Have you played anything else like this that we should be playing? If you enjoyed this video, you can subscribe to the channel for more like it. I've already recommended some other gems for you to play, or you could watch Matthew and me spell things out in Parsnips in Stardew Valley. Hopefully, we'll see you soon. Bye!